Death Proof was released in 2007 and was written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. This is probably Quentin Tarantino's most conflicted film as far as audience and his fans go. A lot of people didn't like this film whenever it first came out, and I'd never got to see it up until about like a few months ago, and I really enjoyed this film immensely, and I'd like to talk a little bit about it because it's the closest that Quentin Tarantino has ever gotten to a horror film, and we're in the month of October, so I think it'd be appropriate to talk about. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, one thing this film has going for it, it has an amazing cast. It has Rosario Dawson, Tracy Tom, Zoe Bell, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and they play some really kick-ass chicks in this film. And also, it stars Kurt Russell, and he is just amazing in this. Just his acting is just through the roof in this, just especially under Tarantino's direction. I just think this was him probably at his peak. Kurt Russell plays a psychopath, and his name is Stuntman Mike. And Stuntman Mike, he stalks women in his car, and he eventually tries to kill them with his car that is apparently death-proof because it's a stunt car, and you know they done enough mechanic work to it to where you can't die in it, and that's why the title is Death Proof. The thing I like most about this film really is just the first half plays as if it's a slasher, like an older 80s slasher film. And then the second half plays like kind of like a Tarantino car flick, you know, just car chases throughout the whole second half. And wow, just the car chases in this are just amazing. Tarantino just despises digital filmmaking and he hates CGI. So a lot of the, actually I'm pretty sure all of the car crashes and the stunts with the cars are real and they're in camera. And you're just seeing this all going on, and you're just on the edge of your seat, and you're just really holding, like, I've seen the film about 3 or 4 times, and I watched it yesterday, and just when the stunts were going on, you just kind of held your breath as if something bad was going to happen, but I've already seen it. It's just, it was really tremendous filmmaking on Tarantino, especially with the direction he gave to all the cast and the characters for, the car chases. He just did a really great job of that, and even if you don't really like the long dialogue from Tarantino films, you can just watch this as a car flick and you would definitely enjoy it. This film has a great atmosphere. It just feels like you're watching an older 80s slasher film, and Tarantino, he just tries to make it all weird and cheesy, especially with the dialogue. The dialogue is great, but you just get this feel as if this is a Tarantino film, but at the same time you can really sense it. Just you feel as if you're dropped into the 80s and Tarantino came with you and just made this film. From the beginning, there's a opening car scene where a bunch of characters are in a car, and that's one of Tarantino's strong suits. Just characters in a car, just regularly chatting back and forth. And his directing just shines in this film, especially with the camera work. He just does a tremendous job. Just everything about this film really screams just Tarantino's love for early slasher films in the 80s. And you just wouldn't expect that, especially with his other films like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill and Django and all them. You just wouldn't get a sense that he would really be a horror fan, but after seeing the whole first half of this film, you're like, wow, Quentin Tarantino, quite a horror fan, and he really should make a horror film, especially with how well the horror aspect was done with the first half. In-camera car scenes, like there wasn't a bunch of jump cuts, it was actually just long takes with the car. And all I have to say is the shipmates scene with Zoe Bell is just breathtaking. It's actually going on right in front of you, and you're just like, Zoe Bell is crazy for agreeing to this, and that's what makes her character so awesome. It's just she's willing to take that risk. So this is a very fun film for fans of 80s slasher films, and if you're a fan of Tarantino's work, like Django, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, and you haven't seen this yet, I really highly recommend it, because I'm a big fan of Tarantino, and I wasn't sure about seeing this film or not. And I saw it and it was very surprising, and his directing just shines in it, and you're just like, wow, I can't believe I went this long without seeing Death Proof. But yeah, guys, the only real problem I had with this film was towards the middle of the film. I just felt as if it could have been a little bit more energetic and a little bit more not as boring, and also the characters in the first half were just a little bit annoying, and I just didn't really like them all that much. But with Tarantino's dialogue, it kind of makes up for it with how entertaining their conversations are. But yeah, those two problems are really the only thing I have to be upset with about Death Proof. So if I would have to give Death Proof a rating, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Death Proof is just one of Tarantino's most creative films. It wasn't the best, well-received film, but I think you just really need to be a fan of Tarantino and really understand the films that he was trying to replicate in this one. Just 80s slasher films and car chase films. And if you understand that, then you're really going to love this film. So if you like horror films and you don't really want to be scared that much, but you just feel as if you're in this world and you're just having a great time, then I definitely recommend watching Death Proof. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to end this review as abrupt as the film was ended.